Hello and welcome to ACS Golf and this week's review, which I am very excited about. This week I'm reviewing the Titleist TS3 driver. Now the reason I'm really excited about this is, for me, Titleist, when it comes down to drivers, is one of the most biggest brand out there. The majority of tour players, they'll play Titleist if they're not signed. It's a really big sort of company when it comes down to drivers. It's one of the main guys out there. Now they release drivers every 2 years. So TS3, so the TS line, which 2019, 2020. Then you have the TSI 2021, 22, and then you have the TSR, which is this year and will be going into next year as well. So the issue with that is, because they're released every 2 years, such as Ping, the price of the clubs actually really hold in the second-hand market. Unlike, TaylorMade, Callaway, Srixon, I think Srixon release them every year. Maybe not Srixon, actually. Take that one back. But obviously Callaway, TaylorMade, Cobra, who release clubs every year. Of course, then you can find sort of clubs from 2 years ago dropping down in price quite a bit, because you've got the new model out and you've got the previous model out. But when it comes down to Titleist, because obviously 2 years ago there's only one model, it keeps the prices up. So now that the TSR is out, it means that the TS lineup is actually really dropping in price. So it's potentially great bargains out there. So that's why I picked it up, because number one, I've never tried Titleist before. I really have always wanted to try a Titleist driver. And number two, the prices I think now are really reasonable. So as always, let's have a closer look at the club. Then I'm going to talk about a bit of the technology that's in here. Obviously get down to the driving range, and then we'll do the ACS golf scale and basically sum up if I do think it is a bargain on the second-hand market. Okay, let's have a closer look at this club. So there you go, a closer look at the club, and look at that shiny crown. You'd have seen my reflection in that video, and also the reflection out my window as well. Not a massive fan of this, even though I do have the Stealth 2 in the bag at the moment, which has the same sort of shiny crown. But anyway, moving on. Looks wise, very simplistic, and that's what Titleist is. It's all about that sort of, black, simplistic, nothing to really garish to catch your eyes or put you off. I do like that simple alignment aid. It's very nice. Before we get into technology, I'll just tell you what the models are. So obviously, like I said, this is 2019 club, 2020 as well, because it's released over 2 years. There was 4 models. Now what they tend to do is they tend to release one model sort of beginning of the year, so 2 models or 3 models beginning of the year, and then the next 2 later on in the year. So do be aware of that. I think they did the same for the TSR this year. Can't remember which ones they released first. I think it was a 2 and a 3, and then they released the 1 and the 4 at a later date. Leave in the comments if you know which one that is, because they definitely do split them up. But anyway, so there's 4 models. Now you have the TS1, and the same with the TSI one, TSR one, which is more the sort of the really forgiving, high launching, sort of maybe draw bias as well club, which is really for the more slower swing speeds, really. And then you had the 2, so TS2, TSI2, TSR2, which is more the sort of the general player, I'd say. For your normal average golfer, you go out and you'd be looking at the TS2. So probably the club I should be looking for as well, but no. So the TS2, so across the board. And then you had the TS3, a little bit more low spinning, more distance, still not a bad amount of forgiveness, but more distance, that sort of more, bomber club. And I think the majority of tour players would have the 3 in the bag. I think the majority of them do. And then you have the TS4. So all the clubs, by the way, the 1, the 2, 3 in the TS line were all 460cc, so maximum size head. And then went to the TS4, which is actually 430cc, with the idea of that also being a low spinner, low bomber, but less forgiveness, because it's aimed at that really good player who doesn't need that much forgiveness because it's going to be hitting the middle of the face a lot, but also because it's a smaller head, that little sort of that playability. So, you know, they can really easily have that fade or really easily play that draw, gone the wrong way, draw or fade, you know, and that's what that club was aimed at. So there you go. And I picked up the TS3 because I wanted to sort of try the bomber, you know, low bomber, and still have a little bit of forgiveness. So we'll obviously discuss after we get down the range if that is the case. Now, talk about technology here. So in the age of carbon, let's be honest, where majority of drivers have carbon in them, this does not. So it doesn't have a carbon head. You know, obviously at the time, 2019, majority of drivers did. Callaway did, obviously TaylorMade did, Cobra did, Ping didn't. Ping have only brought carbon into their heads this year, actually. The G340 LST, low spin tech, yes, the LST. First time I've actually put carbon in there. TSR, I'm not 100% sure. You'll have to have a look at that. I don't think they do. Again, I don't think they've got any carbon in there. Fair enough. I mean, it works, it works. Why change something that is good? So basically, what they've done instead of putting carbon in there is they've done an ultra thin titanium crown. So the thinnest titanium crown in golf allows weight to be shifted lower and deeper for increased stability and forgiveness. So the idea is the same, lowering the weight on the top. And that's the whole point of a lot of clubs use carbon, is to have less weight on the top so they can move it around and make more forgiveness, you know, so more MOI, etc. They also had a thinner, faster face, so variable thickness face delivers faster ball speed for more distance across more of the face. There you go. Also something that Titleist did. You can see there, that's a pretty flat face. So a lot of the drivers and everything for forgiveness, etc., sort of have that little bulge. It won't be necessarily flat face, but they looked into the technology at the time with the TS and decided, hold on, let's have a flatter face, because it's going to also help with alignment, because you're not going to see a bulge there, and so it's going to help line up the ball better. And that's what they've done. So there you go. So they've got a new streamlined shape. So drag is reduced by 20%, increasing club head speed for more distance for the same input. Great. Obviously, that's what you want. You know, more streamlined. That's what Aerojet had done, for example, this year, trying to make the club more streamlined to gain more club head speed. More club head speed equals more distance. So there you go. And there's the shape of the club. It's all pear shape a little bit, but not bad, to be honest. Not bad at all. I find that, you know, not one thing you'll notice is not like elongated at the back there. It's sort of quite stumpy, which is the idea of a better driver. You know, more forgiving drivers, sort of more elongated at the back, put more weight at the back, more forgiveness. Then there's an optimized weight distribution. Refined crown and face thickness creates Titleist's lowest CG ever for high launch and low spin, the holy grail of metal wood design. So there you go. That's the whole point again, is that, you know, CG, high launch, low spin, great. You know, if you can get the ball launching high with low spin, it's just going to go. Keep on going, hit the ground and roll more. Perfect. And then two ways to speed. The TS3 offers an adjustable sweet spot for speed tuned performance. There you go. It was very much Titleist, very much a club where, and sort of Ping, they really like you go and get it fitted for them to really optimize performance of the club. So do be aware with that for any clubs you pick up. And one thing that I do love about Titleist is their sort of sure fit guide. We have this hosel, which I love. I do love their hosel. Nearly dropped it. So there you go. You know, you see A1, you've got B2, C3, D4, etc. And, you know, this means that you can, so this head is a 10.5 degree head. I could, with this hosel, decrease it by 0.75 degrees. So I can take it to 9.75, I believe. I can increase it by 1.5 degrees and go all the way up to 12. But I can do that without closing or opening the face. And that's something that a lot of clubs you'll find when you're adjusting it, especially my TaylorMade behind me, is that by delofting the club, you tend to open the club face, which can lead to more of a slice. Or when you increase the loft, it actually closes the club face to obviously to do that, which can increase a draw or a hook shot. So do be aware of that. And that's what I love about Titleist, because they don't do that. And then you have, because they have that, so you have in one, etc. And then you have adjustments where you can change the light. So you can have, for example, you can have it 1.5 degrees more upright, with the idea obviously to stop that slice, and then a 0.75 flat to obviously have a bit more of a fade on it if you want. So I do love their technology for that, and the things are really plus for them, and you'll see that in any of their sort of new irons, new drivers, new woods, etc., and obviously any woods at the time. And then another thing they did, which I thought was really cool with these models, and they did it before in the I think it was 917s, or the model before this as well, where, oh, I just open this up. They put a weight at the back here, so there you go, just opening this up for you. Sort of this tube with the weight, and so you could basically have in here, change it, so you could go get fit, or you can buy some, have the weight, and then it's quite an easy way just to change it, put that in, and then there you go. So this is standard. Don't actually tell me the weight on it, to be fair, but standard. You could get a fade, you could get a draw bias one. So really cool little sort of way of doing it, to be honest. I'm really quite a fan of that. And so yeah, just something different, isn't it? Really different from everyone else what they're doing at the time. So there we go. I'll put that in a second. There's the technology in the club. And one thing I'll say as well before I get to the driving range and the figures, one thing I've noticed about this club is it's how light it is. And that's also going to help increase your ball speed, going to help increase the swing speed, and therefore increase more distance. And that's what I love. I mean, I was really surprised. I mean, I'm using this, a hazardous smoke shaft for it, like low spin, still 60 grams, sorry. So your normal sort of weighted shaft there. So not a 50 gram or not a plus there. And personally for me, I like lighter drivers, to be honest. I've got a 50 gram shaft in my Stealth 2. I just feel like I've got more control. I can really go for it a little bit more. So it's quite cool, and I really like the way how light this club really is. You know, I picked it up and straight away I was like, oh, that's really light, and really put me in confidence with it. And straight off the bat, hitting the middle of the face, or around the middle of the face because of it. So really cool feature there, I think, with when it comes down to the weighting of this club. Anyway, there we go. Enough talking about that. Let's get down to the range, talk some figures, and then I will discuss the ACS golf scale with you. So here I am down at the range. Let's jump straight into those numbers. So on average, I had a carry of 211 yards. Total distance was 251 yards. Ball speed was 151 miles per hour. Launch angle 8 and height 39. So really, really happy with the ball speed. The longest on the day was 263 yards and the ball speed was 153. Shortest was about 241 total distance, but ball speed was still 151 miles per hour. It's just I didn't get the launch on that one. I only got 5 degrees, and that's one thing I did find quite hard with this club. I loved how light it felt. I'm actually quite a fan of lighter feeling drivers, but the hazardous stiff shaft is a low spinner. It's not really, even though it's stiff, which is perfect for me, it's not really what I need. I need one which is a little bit more, have a bit more flex basically at the bottom of the shaft to help me launch the ball a little bit higher. The club was in 10.5 degrees. I probably could have, to be fair, increased the degrees of the club, you know, maybe put it up to 12, which I could do with it, and then that, to be honest, would probably have helped me with the launch. But overall, very happy. So there you go, some promising numbers there. So let's jump into the ACS golf scale. If you're new to the channel, basically I'm looking at distance, feel, looks, price and forgiveness. 5 being the top score, 1 being the lowest. Okay, so we're going straight into distance here. Now, as I sort of mentioned, ball speed 151 miles an hour on average, really happy with that. Majority, you know, I only got 2 under 150. That's fantastic. Obviously I was finding the middle of the club very easily, which is great. You know, just pick this up and hit it like I did. Really happy with it. You know, few maxed out 153 miles per hour. Not the fastest. I've got my Stealth up to 155 before, but very happy. And I'm sure if I, you know, practice with it, you know, hopefully I could probably get to that ball speed. The only issue was obviously the distance. Really, I'm sort of looking between 250 and 260 I'm happy with, but more the top end for 260 total distance to go with my awful attack angle. And I was only getting 251 yards. Now,
I had a few that did go over that 260 when I managed to sort out that launch angle, which is only 8, and get it, you know, to double figures, which you sort of want. But that's not really down to the club, that's down to me and the shaft. You know, hazardous low spin shaft. I tend to go for sort of a stiff but in mid spin to basically help increase the spin so I get more distance. And I do like a bit more of a flexible tip because it just gives me that chance to get the ball a little bit up in the air. And also, I kept this at 10.5 throughout the thing. You know, maybe I should have tested it and brought it up to 12 degrees, you know, because that would have helped with the launch angle and helped with the distance. So I am giving it, even though the distance isn't necessarily what I was hoping, I am giving it a very, very respectable and solid 4 out of 5. With that ball speed, there is good, really good distance in here. There really is, but it's just getting the settings right. I didn't have it set up right for me on the day for distance, but I definitely feel like, you know, if you want to give this club a go and you want to keep it in the bag, it's definitely worth getting because the ball speed's there. You just need to work out, maybe, you know, increase the loft, decrease the loft, etc. to really maximize that distance, which, you know, give me some more time with it. I think I definitely could. So 4 out of 5, very happy with it. Feel, 4 out of 5. Very happy with the feel. I could feel that I was hitting it in the middle of the club, middle of the face, sorry. It felt powerful off the face, felt responsive. The moment I did hit a bad shot, I knew that it was a bad shot. I knew it was off the heel or possibly, you know, near the top of the club. It didn't actually hit on the toe, which was quite nice. Normally it's my bad shot there, but anyway. So very happy with the feel of it, to be honest. So 4 out of 5, very solid, very good. You know, if you want that sort of club where you can feel it, you know, I personally do like that. I like knowing when I've done a bad shot because it gives me an idea and going, all right, well, I've hit this off the toe. Maybe I need to be a little bit closer to the ball, or I've hit this right off the heel. Maybe I stand a little bit away. Just gives you a good idea. I personally really like it, you know. But generally, the problem is a lot of these clubs where you do get better feel, you do sacrifice that forgiveness. So it's finding the right sort of match, really, when looking at that. But yeah, like I mentioned, 4 out of 5, really happy. Now, looks, 3 out of 5. I mean, it's not a bad looking club. It's very basic, really, all black. I definitely prefer the new models. I love the TS3 one. Hopefully one day I'll get my hands on one. I love that sort of look. I prefer that over this one. I'm not exactly too sure what's happening on the bottom there, but hey ho. So there you go. So 3 out of 5. Now, going on to forgiveness. As I mentioned, this isn't the most forgiving model. This is the TS3. Like I said, like majority of people like on tour would have this in the bag because it still had good forgiveness for what it was. And I've actually given it a 3 out of 5. I personally was generally quite happy with the forgiveness. Like I said, I was hitting it around the middle, but not on the middle dot all the time. I mean, it's rare for me to, you know, I'm not a professional, crying out loud. I'm a 15 handicap golfer at the moment, which can fluctuate more likely up than down. And so I don't find the middle all the time. I found, you know, most of the time I'm around there, but not quite there. And I just found that I wasn't getting that drop in ball speed, as I mentioned, you know. Yes, I think the spin did change on a few shots where I hit them maybe up or down, but I wasn't getting a drop in ball speed. So really happy with that. But, you know, I think if you're hitting it more around the face, you will suffer. So 3 out of 5, which I think is very good for, you know, for this sort of more low spin distance driver sort of mold. 3 out of 5 is very respectable, so not bad at all. And finally, we get on to the price. So as mentioned, this is now the basically 3 models back. So TSR, which is a new one this year, TSI, which is the last one from 2 years ago, and then this one from 2019. So the prices have dropped. So if you're going on a place like Golf Bidder, which is obviously a second-hand market like Second Swing, etc., or going to a PGA store and picking up clubs there, on average, you know, there were a few under around that £150 mark, but on average, you're looking at sort of £173, £174, so around that $215, $220 mark, which is, you know, is quite steep, you know, for a 2019 club, but it's not the end of the world. But if you're looking on the second-hand market like eBay, things like that, Facebook marketplaces or whatever, car boot sales, for crying out loud, then it's a lot cheaper. So I picked this up for £119 on eBay. So around that $150 mark, I managed to pick it up, and I'm seeing them being sold and in sort of this, don't get me wrong, this is obviously used condition, but you know, no real marks on the face. I mean, this is good to go, really, really good to go. You know, I saw a few more for £120 marks, £150, which is the same sort of condition as $150, sorry, same sort of condition as this. You know, top end, I did see one go for £180, so that's around $225, which was pretty much brand new, so fair enough. But because of the price, you can get this on second-hand markets like eBay, things like that. I think personally it's a 4 out of 5. I think it's a great option if you got around, you know, $150, £120, and you want to go and get yourself, you know, that sort of more low spinning driver with lots of adjustability options, obviously premium shaft, premium driver, premium head cover. I do love the head cover, to be fair with this. This feels really premium. This is an absolute perfect option. Highly recommend it. You know, if you're looking for a new driver at the moment, you want to try a titleist. We've never tried a titleist. You know, go pick this up, because in the end of the day, if you don't like it after 2 months, whatever, you can sell it for pretty much the same price and not make a loss. So yeah, so there is my review of the Titleist TS3. Did it live up to my sort of expectations, being my first ever Titleist driver to test? Yes, it did. I just think it's a very well built, very well thought, great driver, which has lots of potential in the right hands. Like I mentioned before, you might need to fiddle around with the settings, etc., just to get the right distance, but the ball speed is there off the face, which is great. Okay guys, there's my review of the Titleist TS3 driver. Hope you enjoyed it. Do give this video a like, and remember to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss weekly review of items like this. So the second hand, all brand new. We have a few brand new ones every now and again. So do subscribe to the channel. And comment down below, do you play a Titleist driver? Have you played a Titleist driver? You know, what do you guys think of them? There you go. Okay guys, like I said, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next week. Bye bye.